shit! I didn't even notice. Hold on, I gotta put my face on.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am your host, and I'm here with the very famous, the very intricate, somebody that's better than John Jones, who's done more work out there than John Holmes, and and has better dance moves than Tom Jones, the largest arms in all of Texas. Here we have the slasher of slashers, the biggest guns in all of Tennessee and New Mexico. If you think about the most famous outlaws, are nothing compared to Laura Slasher.
Jeez. Thanks.
And today's yeah, there you go. See, um, and today we have a pretty shitty episode, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Oh, we have the BTK. Um, so
Yeah, it's gonna suck. So
yeah, it's gonna be so shitty. Like I think about this show and I think about hurting myself and others.
just eat a bowl of poop.
Yeah, just sitting there eating just a bowl of shit. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Just thinking about the show and how it sucks. So now I'm sitting here eating a bowl of shit. Pass me some of that cider. Okay, so why don't you get us started with Dennis Rader?
What about him?
Okay, so where was he born?
Um, it depends, I guess, like how you look at it. Technically, Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Pittsburgh,
But
Kansas.
he
You want
was
to know
like
something
raised
interesting?
around Wichita. What?
The people from Pittsburgh, Kansas, so they did like a survey, and 99% of them wish they lived somewhere else.
Mm,
You know
I didn't.
how Chicago, they call it like the Windy City, and and New York, like it's like, oh, it's the Big Apple. Um, Pittsburgh, Kansas, you know what they call it?
No,
The either I can't wait to move or I can't wait to die.
probably not the best. You know, things to wish for if you lived around the time of Dennis Rader. So
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I think that they should take that off of their license plates.
no, I'd move there for one.
You'd move there for that, just so that you
Yeah,
can have
just
like
for
the
like
wish I would move, live somewhere else, wish I was dead.
yeah, the dead one.
All right. So Dennis Rader, he's really interesting because he had a pretty good upbringing. Like, you know how the story is like, well, his mother walked into the room and she took the world's stinkiest pork chop and she slapped him across the face to wake him up in the morning, and his dad would walk in with the world's stinkiest pork chop wrapped around his knuckles and just punch him right in the face.
Hmm.
It wasn't any of that. Like, his home was okay.
It was fine. Yeah, they would raise chickens, ducks, all these things. It was fine. He was a good kid, I guess. Like at school, he did like like random like dumb stuff, but
Yeah, one of the yeah, that kid he was such a rascal. You know what? One of the big things that he would do that was like, oh, like there's Dennis. He's quite the menace. You know what it was?
what?
So when they asked him like, so what were you like at school? And he's like, oh, I did that thing that silly kids do when you visualize yourself just you know tying up girls that you have a crush on, so to make sure they're not going anywhere. You just tie them up and then you fantasize all day about that. And for some reason, you start getting a weird little tingle in your pants.
Yeah, that came from his mom.
What?
He got the first his first like weird feeling was because his mom was like cleaning the couch or something, and her ring got stuck in one of the springs in the couch, and she was like, hey, um can you help me? And he saw her and he was like, oh, I
She's
liked it.
helpless.
Yeah, super weird, but because it was his mom. But
Have you have you ever seen the movie The Good Son
mhm,
with Macaulay Culkin?
yeah,
That's what that reminds me of. Is that little kid was such a piece of shit. Macaulay Culkin, he was such a douchebag.
and like for
That
nothing
and he
too.
for no reason. Like he had a loving sister. His mom was very loving. Um, Elijah Wood, what happened? His mom was in the hospital, or she died.
He died or something
So
like that. Yeah,
yeah, so she went to go
career.
stay with them, and he loves them because they're nice to all of them. They're very, yeah. And then Macaulay Culkin's just a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit now. Anyway, so yeah, so basically that's what he reminds me of because you look at Dennis Rader's like home life and you're like, damn, he tied people up and killed them.
Yeah,
Mm,
a lot of them too.
yeah, it's fucking
Yeah,
weird. So you had him, right? His mom was helpless, and he gets this idea, in his head that he likes that he enjoys that. The
yeah. He
Because I think that
go ahead.
he said that in an interview that he felt like in that moment, like he had a position of power,
Yeah, that was
and
his
it's
whole
like
thing
what?
was that he liked feeling in control. He was very like control driven. Um, he liked, I guess, for people to feel helpless around him. He liked seeing it, and like he liked the,
Yeah,
the look of fear on women's faces. Super gross. He had like seen a magazine of his dad's, like some true crime magazine, and there was this guy, Harvey Glatman, I'm pretty sure is his name. He was a serial killer, and he would like lure these women in and be like,
the
I'm gonna
photographer, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And he would tie them up and then be like, I'm gonna kill you. And they'd get scared, he'd take pictures, and then, they ended up on magazines because they were killed, and Dennis Rader liked it. Liked
yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, and it's just so weird. So his grandparents, I think he said that he loved going over to his grandma's house because she killed chickens, and he just
He liked watching it because the chickens were
yeah,
helpless.
yeah, he like, held them down and he killed them, and he got a joy out of that. He hung a cat, you know.
Killed animals. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was just he
he.
was insane from the beginning.
You know what's crazy is I was listening to this interview, and they were interviewing people from his hometown, and there was a guy on there who said that they were they weren't childhood friends. They were just like acquaintances as kids because back then all kids you didn't have to be friends just to play with each other.
Mhm.
So they would go out there and they would kill snapping turtles. Like, did you hear that story?
I'm not sure. There's so
Like,
much.
so
I'm not sure.
yeah, there's a lot, and he says they would kill snapping turtles, which of course, if you back to even now, some places, if you go to like a river and you're gonna swim in this pond, there's a snapping turtle. I think will bite your toes off. So and there were a lot of them, so they would kill them, and you can eat them too. Like turtles, actually pretty delicious. Anyway, so then he was talking about how they would find a snapping turtle and then they would kill it, or they would like basically throw it somewhere far from the pond. And he said that Dennis would sit there and just torture this thing, and all the kids thought that it was weird, and it's like, all right, and so
Jeffrey Dahmer did something really similar with a fish. He went fishing like in some pond with his friends, and they were kind of doing just like a catch and release type of thing. And they caught one, and he smashed it like with a rock, and he was just like looking at all the insides, and they're like, "Dude, you gotta put it back. Like that's what we're
yeah,
doing here." So
catch and
yeah,
release.
crazy people.
So, yeah, it's nuts. So he was at school. This is another story he told. He was at school, and it doesn't specify. He doesn't specify what he did. Um, but the teacher apparently she humiliated him. She like come up to the front of the class, whatever it was, and he felt humiliated. So what he did was he followed her home, and he said that as a form of revenge, he just peeped inside of her house, stood there watching
Yeah,
her, and he said that he had a rope and he like tied it around his waist, and he was just like tying it tight. And he said that he felt a release, and then he walked off.
Yeah, he used to do that. He used to go into like abandoned like barns and things like
Barnes.
where no one could see him, and he would tie rope around his waist really tight, and he would you know,
Yeah.
without doing
No.
anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
insane.
He would, reenact that scene from, Footloose when he's like dancing in the barn by himself to release stress.
Yeah, a different kind of release, but sure.
Can
Um,
can you imagine him dancing like a young 10-year-old Dennis Rader? He's like da, 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 da.
no, you need to
Nobody,
show a picture of
nobody,
him. Show a picture.
nobody tells me not to dance.
Oh my
you
god,
know.
look at him.
So
Everybody said he looked like a nice man.
yeah, that's so
He was
crazy.
a
And
nice
people would say that. People are like Dennis Rader, but look at that fucking demon. Look at that, it's insane. He
That
looks
does
like
not look like a nice man.
yeah, he looks like Jack Nicholson in The Shining if the devil possessed him, the devil from The Exorcist.
It's so
Um,
bad.
yeah, it's crazy. So that's what people
It
they
doesn't
would
even
show pictures
work.
like his daughter was like, yeah, and if you look at pictures of dad, look at that. He looks like an evil what the hell is his name? George Costanza. Like he's finally enough of Jerry's shit. He's like, that's it, Jerry. I've had enough of your shit, and he lunges at him with a knife.
His
Um,
eyebrows are pointy,
like a devil. Like I'm
like
telling you.
naturally pointy.
I'm gonna say this, and it could be controversial. So let's hit the
No.
button where so like
Okay,
doot,
I'll edit
the
it out if so.
okay,
Go ahead.
doot, the views and opinion of Decon do not reflect those of Nightmare Road. Um, I think that if you have the urge to hurt people, like to kill them, like to bind them, torture, kill, and you go to therapy and you seek help and you still have like the urge to bind, torture, kill people, I think you should jump off a fucking roof.
So, so this man, he he's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, him or me?
Then I put a picture of you.
Yeah, imagine like
Um,
look at this disgusting fuck, and it's a picture of me like wearing a Christmas sweater.
it's ridiculous.
Um, no,
Yeah.
it's just
So
it's not, show him as a kid, like as a young man.
as a
People said
young,
he he was such a friendly young man. Like he looked like he was just so good hearted.
okay, we have different opinions. I don't think he looks the
But
word
we'll
that
let the
you
audience
said.
decide. But look at that psychotic fuck. That is disgusting. He looks
Yeah.
like young Sheldon if young Sheldon murdered his whole family.
Look, I don't think he looks evil the way that you think. I think he looks mean, but I don't think he looks evil. Does
Put the
that
picture up again. Look at that disgusting demon from hell. It looks like he's filling out a job application to be like a demon from hell, like a demon spawn. And he's like, "How did you get here?" "Well, you see, my father is Lucifer, and my mother is some poor maiden that sacrificed her virginity to the devil." You know,
he looks mean? He looks like he thinks he's
what?
above you.
If he was selling you a vacuum cleaner, you'd let him in the house. Come on in, sir, with a
No,
fucking
I don't
with
even
your
have a
fucking
vacuum.
checkered suit, like you're part of the Ed Sullivan show, and your act is to go on stage, sing and dance, and then shoot everybody.
I don't need a vacuum. I like mine.
That piece of shit vacuum. Anyway, so all right, so that happens, right?
Hmm.
Um, and he begins to fantasize more and more. He gets a hold of this magazine, which to me, what's interesting is the fact that he had this magazine just like Ed Kemper, not Ed Kemper. What the hell's his name?
Jerry Brutos, the shoes.
No,
Oh, Ed
uh,
Gein magazine.
Ed Gein. There he goes. Ed, also same name. Like Ed Gein would walk around with those true crime magazines,
All these crazies. Uh huh.
and yeah, and he would walk around And he would talk to people like, "So Ed, what do you have to say?" And he's like, "Oh, this guy dismembered all these." Same thing with him. He like would talk about these magazines. Like, "Oh, I saw
Man, I do
somebody."
that.
Fucking. But he, damn, it's what's interesting is he had these magazines, or some people saw that he had magazines, but he wouldn't talk to people about it because he had like this. Even as a teenager, he felt like he had to uphold this image. You know, so like for example, the church image. You
Mm.
know, like he was always, like, hello, let me help you with your bags to put them in the car.
Jeez, all
You know,
right. Yeah, no. He was crazy. Well, all of them, but Dennis Rader.
special,
He
like
had
he's a special kind of sick.
he's gross. He had this magazine when he was 14. So he was 14. People were like, these are inappropriate magazines, but his daughter was saying that she thought that it was inappropriate that he was looking at those magazines, but they like I guess kind of like she talked to some people and they're like, well, they sell them at the like corner stores, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's fine. And she was like, all right, like whatever. But
I
this
think,
he was a kid, and like
yeah, and but
looking at these pictures of like these women that are tied up about to be murdered.
yeah, about to be murdered, and I think somebody even said in an interview that somebody was like, "Well, cops also read those magazines." It's like, well, there you go, cops also read these magazines. So,
Yeah, and they didn't catch him. Um, so should we skip along to his? Well, I guess before his first murder, there was somebody that was a potential one. So he had gotten this weird like habit of uh, touching, and he liked to grab like silky undergarments.
yeah,
He would like go into his mom's drawer and stuff and like touch her like slips and things like that, which is super weird. What's your mom? You know. Um, and then he started stealing them from people's
not
lines
my
and
mom.
no, 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 maybe. Um, and so then he
Excuse me, your mom.
maybe. So he started stealing people's underwear and like things like that off of their clotheslines. And then he got to the point and to the age he got he got to the age.
What's happening? Where'd you go?
It got to the point where he's older and he's thinking about like abducting somebody. He had gone to like the Air Force or something, and he got stationed in Japan. He had uh, sexual experiences over there, and like the people that were over there, the
Yeah,
workers would say that they didn't want to go back to him because he scared them because he would tie them up and all these things.
yeah.
Um,
Just call them what they are. They're hookers.
Yes. And
Yeah,
so when he came back, he had seen this lady outside of like a bank. I think she was like a bank teller or something like that. And he was like, I'm gonna try to take her. And so he went up to her car, tried to like force himself into the car. She started screaming, and he was like, I'm sorry. I just wanted your car. I'll leave you alone. And he left. And then that was it.
he should have come up with a better excuse. He should have been like, "I'm sorry, I thought this was my car and you were stealing it."
Yeah.
What an
Well,
idiot.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
after
wait,
that, what?
the the breaking into people's houses and just standing there, was this after
This was,
the Air Force?
I think it was I think it was before and after, honestly. Like it was before
Yeah,
the abduction. So it was I'm assuming, yeah,
he was
before
like
that.
building himself up,
Yeah.
like
He took it
trying to
really
get,
slow and then he just went
yeah,
full in.
yeah, just
So he
floored
would
it
just stand in people's
like a
houses.
woman.
Yeah. He would just stand in people's houses and he liked the feeling of like invading their privacy, like invading their space. Super crazy, but
Yeah, it's
that's what he
nuts.
enjoyed.
The
He did
way
a
he
lot of really
described
weird things.
the way he described it was the feeling of being somewhere you're not supposed to be, and it's like,
Mm,
what?
yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's super weird. Um, So after his first attempt is when he did his actual first first one. Um, and that was in January of 74. So at this point, I think he was like 30 or 32 or something like that.
He already had a kid, didn't he?
I believe so. He
A
had
lot of
gotten married and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, fuck. A lot of people like that. A lot of people that were in the comments with the Dennis Rader biography, they're like, "Damn, like this guy was a dad. He had a job. He had a part-time job. You know, he had a wife. He had a child. He had all these projects he would do. You know, he read a lot about things. You know, he started looking into security systems. He basically he had all these things, and he stalked people, and then he started killing people. He did all of this, and he was still like good, like a good dad and a good husband. He says, and I have a job, and don't have time to do shit.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it. Like, I guess like when you're crazy like that, you don't need to sleep much. But um,
That's wow. That's an interesting. I never thought about that. It's like, what if he was doing all of this because gambling addicts, like people are their wives are like, I don't know when he has time, and these gambling addicts will get up, set like a silent alarm, get up like at 2 in the morning, go gamble for like 20 minutes, and then go back to bed, and
mhm.
no one knew. What if he's getting out of bed and just like going through all these plans and then going back? You know what I mean?
So he had used school as an excuse, because he was going to school when he, I think, we had like first gotten um married. I think he was still going to like school or doing something, but he used school as an excuse. Like he would say that he was going to go to the library, but instead of being at the library, he was driving around like stalking these people, and trying to like pick a victim or whatever.
Yeah. Didn't he pick up like a couple of like posts like while he was married? He would pick up a couple of hookers and like kind of try to work his way into like killing them.
I don't think I read that.
Or
That might have been.
or I see. Yeah. Okay. So he could have either picked them up or maybe thought about picking them up because
I'm pretty sure he thought about it abducting people. He just
yeah, because
never.
he used to drive around just to pick targets, right?
Mhm.
So I wonder if that's probably what it was. He saw like hookers on the side of the road,
Mhm.
wishing they lived somewhere else,
Yeah.
and he just saw them, and he's like, I'll send you straight to hell.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'll kill you. Um.
Yeah.
So he went to his first victims. I guess all four of them. I can put a. I'm not going to show the kids' faces because they're children.
That's so
Um.
sick.
So,
Oh,
wrong
look at
one.
look at this
I
friendly face.
I failed. Okay. There it is.
Look,
Okay.
looking
So
for a new co-host.
the first four people. I'm just gonna end the stream. The first four people on the top are the ones that he killed first. So that's like the mom, the dad, the two children.
Yeah.
Um, so they had just moved to Wichita from Puerto Rico, and the son, one of the surviving sons, said, like, we didn't really care for it. Like the kids kind of just like had gotten used to this whole, like tropical setting, and they had to move.
Yeah.
It was January in Wichita, so it was super
Fucking
cold,
cold.
snowy, yeah. And so Dennis Rader um, had
He's
picked
like, I'll
this
deport you.
lady, yeah, forever. Had picked this lady, Julie, because he saw her and her daughter walking. Her daughter was 11, and he was attracted to Hispanic people, specifically people with like dark eyes, hair, skin. He saw this little girl and was like, I want her, whatever, want to kill her.
You should go visit him.
For what?
Huh? Interview him.
Mm, okay.
Bring
I
him
have a
over.
special friend. for him. You. So
Special Olympics special.
so so he um picked a
That's
date,
crazy.
I guess, any like random date. He had stalked her for a long time first. Kind of like gotten her schedule down. He's like, it takes 7 minutes for her to like drop the kids off and come back. What?
That, that's just one of that's one thing that another thing you notice about Dennis Rader is his obsession with time, his obsession with
Well,
planning.
he needed good
He had
timing.
well, and that's the thing is when he was in the Air Force, someone had said that he was so he would time how long it took somebody to go from here to here, and he would talk about it like it takes us 30 minutes to get from here to here, 30 seconds if we stop here to here, and it's just so weird, you
Yeah,
know.
he well, for this, he needed it in order to get away with, he was a big
Yeah.
planner when it came to this. So he had it was a whole project, to get these people or to
What was
get
the
this
project
done.
called?
For this one,
Yeah.
um Project Little Mix. Stop, it's rude. It's about the little girl. So anyway, he showed up at the
I'm not
house.
laughing about the little girl, you
Obviously, but it's
sick
Little Mex.
bastard.
He's talking about, the little girl, the little Mexican. They're not Mexican. Either way.
The
So
same thing.
yeah, well, he gets to their house, goes to the back door, jiggles the doorknob. It's not open. And then the kid opens the doors. He had said he knew that the two smallest ones were going to be there and the lady. And he was like, I'll just, get rid of the ones that I am not looking for, and then, I'll do whatever. What he
Yeah.
wasn't expecting was that the dad was going to be home, but he had an appointment that day, so he stayed. And
The
he was not.
wasn't that the second attempt? Because in the first attempt, he went to the backyard and he saw a dog, or was that a different family?
No, it's that family. The dog was inside. The little kid opened the door. When he was trying to get in, he cut the phone line and he jiggled the doorknob. And he was gonna not really like do much. He was just gonna wait, and then the kid opened the back door to let the dog out.
Oh, I thought that. See, I'm getting my stories mixed up. I thought that he went to the backyard and then noticed there was a dog, and he's like, "Shit!" and he left, and then decided to come back.
No, he
No,
did go
okay,
through the backyard, but the dog was inside.
maybe, maybe I drew it.
Maybe the dog.
Who's the
Ew,
castle?
gross. The dog was inside. The kid opened the door to
Little
let the dog
mess.
out, and then he forced himself like inside the house. Everybody was like, "What's going on?" And then he pulled out his gun, and they were like, "Oh, I see." So,
It's just like being back in Puerto Rico.
okay. So,
We're gonna get Bruiser Brody.
oh yeah,
Um, yeah. So it's, but I mean, it's so sick the fact that he. How the hell can you go and look at a little face,
this
and then
kid was 9,
still,
the little boy.
yeah, well, just like to going in there and then see their little faces, and you're like, this is what I want to do, and it's just fuck. Like when I was listening to it, and I don't know, you know, I don't like going into true crime unless I have to, listen to something, and it always just this one was definitely one of those cases where that and Albert Fish, but this one I don't know, just with me, it's the fact that why would you want to hurt people? You know what I mean? Like why? Like what the hell's the matter with you? Obviously, they're mentally ill, they're sick, they're
Yeah,
psychotic, but it's just like the fact that you can actually go and then hurt innocent people for no reason, just because you have an urge or you have.
yeah. For him, it was he had a bunch of sexual fantasies that he wanted to fulfill, and that's the only way he could get it.
Why do you
Was
do it to
doing
himself?
that. He would.
No, but I mean, like, but follow through, like, oh man,
Oh, well, I mean, he would like tie himself up and like take pictures of himself, and
yeah.
he would take pictures in the
Was he
clothes
a
of.
cross dresser?
Uh, in a way, I guess he would just for pictures. He would take pictures of himself like hanging and stuff like that, like all like bound up in some of the victims' clothing.
Yeah, are those pictures out there? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, geez, I didn't know that. Just like
yeah,
seeing the ugliest woman just hanging
very
there,
super weird. No, he would wear a mask, like a doll mask,
like a Batman mask. Oh,
creepy, super creepy mask. Yeah, like a ghost face mask.
yeah,
So he told them all to go to the bedroom, um, tied them up, put bags. The dad ripped the bag. He put a t-shirt, put another bag, strangled him. Then
yeah,
he strangled the mom, strangled the little girl. And then he's like, and they woke up. He's like, I thought they were dead, but they didn't. They
yeah,
came back. And he like went, strangled the dad again, strangled the mom again. Then he went to the little boy, and the mom had said like, can you save him or something like that, and he's like, so she was upset, so I took the bag off of his head, I took him to the other room, I put the bag back on, put a t-shirt, put another bag, strangled him, and then he took the little girl down to the basement, um and he hung her from a sewage pipe. When they
yeah,
found her, she was naked from the waist down, but he hadn't like done anything like to
yeah.
her. He had only
So weird.
done things to
Ejaculate.
himself. Yeah,
Yeah,
not he didn't fully like on her, but he I guess like brushed up against her. They said there was like a little bit on her leg, but they couldn't really. I mean, it was a long time ago. They couldn't really do much with
it's
that.
probably yeah, probably shot somewhere else. Hit a lamp or something. Um, well, what's crazy with him is the fact that he had this like he's just a twisted person
Hmm.
because he was able to commit these horrible crimes. And didn't he say that he couldn't penetrate these people? He said because he made marriage vows and he had like this weird, like you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
think he said something like that. So it was just like such a weird, like broken moral compass. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill you,
it was
and
the
I'm just
same
gonna,
thing as like when he was a kid. Like he had all these weird thoughts, but he also kind of like hated his mom because he said she wasn't a good Christian. But like, look at what
yeah,
you're doing. Like, look at what you're thinking about. What are you talking about? Yeah,
yeah,
it's creepy. So that was the first, you know, 4 people out of 10. The next one was 3 months later, and this was this lady that he had seen walking with her friend. Um, she walked into her house. He saw her, was like, she kind of meets, like the things that I want in a person that's a target. She was like small, she was thin, I guess, whatever. And he wanted to kill her, so he stalked her, learned her like whole schedule, whatever. And the day of, he showed up. He went in through her back door, and then he waited inside of her house, like he said, like in one of the bedrooms or something like that. And
yeah,
when she walked in with her brother, which he was not, expecting.
yeah.
Um, so this is already the second time that things don't go as expected, or the
Don't
third
go going.
if you count the first
He never,
attempt.
he never had a plan B. You know,
No, no, he was very confident, I guess, or just stupid, but
he's
um,
a
kind of
fucking
just
idiot.
yeah. Well, he didn't take rope to this one because he wasn't expecting for anybody else to be there. Um, so he had the brother tie the sister up. Then he tied the brother to like the bed, like the legs of the bed or something, and um, the brother like broke free. He strangled him. Went to the sister. He heard noise in the other room. Came back.
Didn't he? Didn't he have that excuse where he was? Didn't he also use it with the Mexican family? Didn't he also have that excuse where he was like, "Hey, I'm running from the police. I just need your vehicle.
Hmm.
I need you guys to get tied up. No one stop me, and then I'll be out." Just that kind of like to mellow them out.
Hmm. Yeah, he did that to a couple of them. He would kind of talk. He said like in his confession, if you watch his whole confession, he talks about it first of all very nonchalant, but he says, like I comforted them a little bit, to kind of
I
like
comforted them.
calm them down. Like there's there's no calming down from. I
I
mean,
wanted them to
maybe.
calm down. That's what I did. I calmed them down.
Okay, who's that?
That's the BTK killer, administrator. Everybody, I like to address. I would like to address the court and the American people. Huh?
So
No, the administrator. Obama's not the BTK. No, actually, this is how ridiculous he is. So, that's, so he's in court, and the judge is like, "Why don't you walk me through this?" And he's like, "Well, Your Honor," because he has like that stupid, like nerdy voice. "Well, Your Honor, you see," and he's talking as if he's going through his day where nothing happened. Then I had to return the book, and I was like, "This is not my book." And then, what am I gonna? He's like, "Well, then I tied them up, and then I put a plastic bag, and I think it was his lawyer that whispers like into his ear, like, "Shut the fuck up,"
no,
like,
he wanted to, he was saying he was guilty, so they were asking him questions, and he was like, "Yep, I did this." I'm like, blah blah blah.
it,
They asked like, "Did you
his
kill this person?" He's like, "Yep."
But did you see the lawyer? The lawyer was kind of like almost like telling him like stop giving so much detail. Like it's gonna go so much worse for you.
He knew though. He knew he was gonna go away forever.
Yeah,
He,
he no he
I think at
at
that
some
point he didn't
point
really care.
I think the wasn't his lawyer a woman?
Hmm?
Was his lawyer a woman?
I think one of them.
Yeah, of course. She probably had like a
Okay,
crush on
as
him.
she's standing next
Um,
to a serial killer, it's still her fault. Jeez.
what?
As she's standing next to a serial killer, and you're just
I
like, of course it's a woman.
yeah. What are you talking about, Dan Piper? Um. So at some point, I think she just sits down. She's like, whatever. I just tell him the whole damn story,
Well, yeah.
and then
What else is
and
he
then he's
supposed
like,
to
yeah.
do?
What's interesting is a lot of the times when you see a serial killer, when he's going through or he's doing a confession, there's a moment where they're trying to make a decision whether or not should I tell them the full. You also see the same thing with I was gonna say with Ed Kemper, but not really because Ed Kemper put blame on someone else. Like, well, if Mother didn't do this, you see what Mother did, and he was just with him. It was just like, yeah, so I went and I ejaculated, and then I went and I decided, like, oh, you know what? And he's just talking. So,
Yeah.
and that was like the first time ever that he probably told them, and it was almost like he was excited to tell them. Like,
Well, he liked the attention. Like he wanted
yeah,
recognition. He had asked the police, and we skipped over like the whole. He would like send postcards to the police, and he would like do all these things, and he sent puzzles and like all this stuff to the
mm,
news stations and things to get attention. Like I think even said in one of the things like an article in the newspaper would have been enough or something like that. He like mentioned other serial killers, I think, about how like I think he mentioned David Berkowitz and like whatever, and he wanted attention. It was weird.
yeah, and it's just it was the most bizarre thing. Okay, so at some point somebody else takes credit, right, for the
Mhm.
first murder, and that pisses him off. And he's like, "I did this."
Yeah, these two guys, Sebring brothers, got arrested for something, and they were like, if we were gonna do the Otero murders, like that's the way we would have done it, and like I would have. It's one of the brothers said, like I would have been with my brother and my friend, something I don't remember some name, Thomas something, and
Yeah, probably made it up. Like, what's his name? Tony. Tony what? Tony Baloney.
yeah, and so he they I guess like put it on the news and people were all excited, like, oh, we caught him, blah blah blah, and this dude got mad and tells the news station there's a letter
Did he
in a book.
call?
He wrote them a letter.
Oh, okay. At
Or
some point, he makes a phone call. That's later.
maybe that was the phone call. Maybe it was.
He
I'm not
made
sure if it's one of those, but
he yeah he this guy is so, remember guys, this is like a 30-year span, ain't it?
hmm well,
Yeah.
with
So
the first one, it had only been, was it 30 years? No,
yeah,
no, no.
I
This was
think
in October. This was in October.
no
So
no no
he did
no.
the
I'm
murder in
talking about
January.
everything he did, like
Oh
total.
yeah, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much that so we can get some of the things confused because
Mhm.
again, this is like a 30-year span of crime
It,
and weird shit.
it's a lot, and throughout those whole like 30 years, there'd be periods that he would come back and he would send puzzles places, and he even like wrote on a cereal box, and he put it like at a Home Depot or something and had somebody go and find it, and like the stuff that he wrote on there wrote out BTK, and it's
Yeah, it was
insane.
like special K cereal, you
Yeah, I think
know.
it was called like
It,
Toasties or something. It was so weird. Like he did
oh,
the
it was
craziest stuff.
Toastios. It
Toasties,
was
and
like
so
yeah, Toasties. It's like talk about a shitty name for a cereal. It's like
yeah,
it doesn't even sound appetizing. Toasties.
no,
Like, oh,
well,
mom, I'm pretty depressed. Do we have any shit? No, we don't have shit to eat, son. All right, just give me some Toasties.
same thing.
It's the
Um,
same thing almost, only with less flavor. Okay. So, okay, so we got way off track.
yeah,
So he has this girl, right? And he's got a pistol. He's got a 22 caliber revolver,
and he has a what is the other one?
a 357.
Yeah. So the brother, after he strangled the brother and he went to the sister, he heard the brother like move or whatever in the room. So he went back over there and um he stands up. Yeah, the brother like breaks loose or whatever, because I think it was just like pantyhose or something that he had tied him
Yeah.
in.
Oh no, he was still tied up. He was still tied up.
Yeah,
He
he broke
charges
loose.
at him with his hand, hands behind his back. Charges at him and shoots him point blank range. Boom! Brother
And
falls over, and he's like, "Well, that's the end of that." Doesn't he
mm-hmm.
go back to the sister and
Yep,
he's
and
like,
she
"Hey,"
breaks loose and starts fighting him. And then he finally like gains control of that situation, goes back to the brother to like try to strangle him again. The brother ends up
and
getting another
getting
gun,
back up.
from him. So he shot him in the face with the 22, and he had
Yeah,
the other gun in a shoulder holster. So the brother was able to get the other gun and try to shoot
yeah,
him. He said he jammed it, shot him
and
again.
he shot him again. So
hmm
with the 22.
hmm
Um,
in the face.
so in the face. So here's a guy. I mean, this is what's insane. Talk about refusing to die. You know,
The sister
so that
too.
yeah, the sister too. So like refusing to die, you get strangled, you get shot, then you get shot again in the
Mm.
face and missing teeth. You got bullets lodged into you, and then
He pretended
he
to be
kills the
dead.
sister. He pretended to be dead. Kills the sister.
But
Um,
the sister was also hard to kill because he said he was strangling her, and he hears the door open. And he's like, strangulation wasn't working. She wasn't dying. He's like, so I just stabbed her instead. He stabbed her
yeah.
a
So
couple times. He thought the police were coming because he heard the door. So like when he stepped
yeah,
out, he saw the brother running across the street. Like
yeah.
it's crazy.
Like yeah, like the brother was might as well have been like, I ain't hear no bell. Give me one more round, because he just
Yeah,
wasn't. He just wouldn't stay
it's
down.
insane.
He
No,
was like a good version of Michael Myers. It's like he's not dying. You know.
no, he did not die. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So all right, so that happens, right?
Yeah.
Um, then he's cruising around looking for and this is what's insane. You
This
know,
is like years later though, this next one.
yeah.
The next one
No,
is 3 years later.
so you would think that an experience like this, like holy shit, this guy's gonna identify me. This guy, I shot them go. That went horribly. I was almost shot.
hmm
With that 357, um, again, single action. Um, if it was like like a semi-automatic, all he had to do was pull the trigger, and he would have BTK. That would have been the end. With a 357 round. But you have to cock the hammer back every single time you pull the trigger. You can't just grab it, pull the trigger because nothing will happen. The trigger just utilizes as a hammer release. what sets off the round is the hammer. So if he would have cocked it back and then shot him, then he would have killed BTK. But that didn't happen. So there you
Yeah.
guys go.
Well, there you go. So the next two victims were both just random picks. Um, the with the one, so this next one happened in 77, and this one was supposed to be somebody else, but she didn't answer the door. So he just was like walking down the street and trying to, I guess, like pick someone else because he was upset that this first person didn't answer. He sees a kid and he's like, "Hey, can you tell me who these people are?" He shows him a picture of his wife and his daughter. And the kid's like, "Nope, don't know." He's like, "Okay." Goes to another house and is, I guess, like knocks on the door, but he notices where the kid goes, like back home.
Yeah,
No one answers that second door, so he goes to the kid's house and is like, "I'm a private detective. Like, can I come in and show you some pictures?" And they let him in, and the whole
speaking of,
thing starts.
yeah,
Well, they were
I
kids.
get it.
The mom stepped out of the bedroom when he walked inside the house.
Yeah. Speaking of detective, one of his parents was a railroad detective. I thought that was really interesting.
I don't even know what that is.
So, like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. This was a famous case. It was in the paper. Thomas the train was kidnapped. So they needed a detective, and it's like, oh, Dano, let's go find, Thomas. Here's a hint. This whole time it was Percy. You sick son of a bitch. You're going
They were
downtown.
best
Book
friends.
him, Dano.
It's always the best friend.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Beat tips.
Horrible. So, so he tells this lady, I have a lot of, he tells this lady, I have a lot of sexual fantasies. I'm gonna have to tie you up. He's like,
Oh, man.
she seemed upset. Like, yes, she was upset. What are you talking about? Like she
Such a
seemed,
psycho.
yeah. He's like, she seemed upset. She calmed down a little bit. She smoked a cigarette on the back porch, and then um, she's like, they go into the house, whatever. He was going to tie up the kids. He's like, they're crying, and that was going to be a problem. So we put him in the bathroom. She helped me put him in there, and like we put toys and blankets and odds and ends. He says,
You, you know what's crazy? We're gonna have to do a part two because this
yeah,
is long. What's crazy is maybe if I shut the hell up, we could have moved along.
maybe
Um,
if you stop talking,
I wish I was a Project Little Max and dude killed me.
yeah,
Um, so um, so what's interesting is again you have a Dennis Rader in this case, getting him toys so he's not bored, and all this kind of things. When he's delivering his confession, he he has this really sick. I think he does the same thing with this lady. She says she's thirsty. He noticed that she's thirsty, so he's like, "I'm gonna get her something to drink," and then he starts strangling her as soon as she, you know,
yeah.
um,
So she was sick. So while he was putting the three kids into the bathroom, he was like tying the doorknob so that they wouldn't be able to get out.
yeah.
He was like
And he put
tying
the
it with
bed, didn't he?
he was tying it with like another door or something like that. Like he
Yeah,
like tied the doorknobs together so that they wouldn't get out. He's like,
cartoon.
yeah, he's like, she threw up. I got her some water, and then he took her, to the room, put a bag on her head, strangled her. He's like, and at this point, the kids are like knocking, they're like pounding on the door. They're like
And they're
making
like,
noise.
"We're gonna kill you." He's like, "We're gonna kill you, Mister. Leave my mom alone." And
Yeah,
he's like, "You
they're,
step out here, I'm gonna blow your head off."
jeez,
That's what he
what?
said.
There's no way for him to. No, there's no way for them to get out. That's insane.
That's what
Imagine
he. No, no, no. That's what he.
in the
That's what he said to
confession.
them. Yeah,
He didn't say that in the
he said.
confession.
Yes, he did.
No,
Yeah, he told
no,
the kids. The kid. Okay, I bet you citizenship. So, all right, whatever. I'm gonna do a part two, but I'm gonna rewatch the confession or an interview. He said that to the kid because the kid's like,
no.
"I'm gonna get out," and he's like, "You don't want to come out here."
So, from what I remember in the confession, his court one, which I'm correct, he says they're pounding on the door, and then the uh, phone rings. And earlier they had been talking about how the neighbor was going to call and check on them. And so
Mm-hmm.
he's like, the phone rang, and like he quickly gathered up his stuff. He's like, all the windows were
Because
down. It was
it
like
wouldn't
making
stop
a bunch
ringing.
of noise. Yeah, he's like, was the windows were down? No, that was somebody else. Um,
Yeah.
Whatever. He was making a bunch of
The
noise. They were making
the
noise,
phone
and like I wanted to take off.
and then he said that the phone kept ringing and the phone kept ringing and he's like somebody's gonna come check on these people.
Hmm.
He's,
And the neighbor was like supposed to come over or something because the mom was sick.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so he's freaked out. So he leave, man. And again, like we'll cover this in part two, the rest of the murders. But he talked about how, like in the first murder, didn't one of them feel like was like face down and was like my ribs hurt or my back hurt or something, and he's like, and I just
The
made sure he was comfortable
Yeah, the dad had been in
in the
an
car accident.
accident, and he had
Yeah,
a cracked rib. And he's like, my rib hurts. But the way that he says it in this confession, he's like, they were complaining about being tied up. Like, yeah, people
yeah.
are gonna
Oh,
complain if they're tied up.
he said that to when he was confessed. So in his head, he was like, I'm a nice guy. He was like, well, I turned him over because I didn't want him to be uncomfortable. Somebody else was like, my wrist hurts, and he's like, so I loosened it up just enough so they wouldn't hurt them. It's like you're about to put a plastic bag
It
over
was
their head.
it was all of them. He had loosened the ties on all of them because they were all complaining. The dad, the one that had the broken rib, he's like, I put like a coat underneath him. I gave him like something
Yeah,
to put his head on, like
yeah. So
make
he
him
wasn't.
comfortable.
So he was comfortable,
Yeah, super
and
weird. And then he strangled him.
yeah,
So,
then strangled.
I mean, if
It's
you're gonna
so
be strangled, you
bizarre.
might as well be comfortable first.
I guess, just give me a nice lazy boy chair and then just fucking Bill
Go to
Wilkins me.
10.
Um, um. So anyway, guys, we're gonna have to continue this on part two. This is again, we're trying to compress 30 years. Um.
There's only
So
4 murders to go, so.
yeah, so maybe I don't know, maybe refried dream. Oh no, they're dead. They found them in a
Mm,
car in Mexico. There was a car with band members. The car was set on fire. So I'm like, well, there goes my band. Um,
there they go. Get a new one.
literally, literally refried dreams. So there we go. All right, guys. Be sure to check out, Loot by Lottie. Buy a box. Buy some jewelry. Um, they now have jars. Go ahead and buy a jars. Get an anti BTK jar. On your first purchase, use the code Lucky Loot for 10% off your first order. You just have to DM that. Head on over to our merch site. Ooh, look at that. Seems so professional. Merch site, get a shirt. I have new shirts up. I have a Jeffrey Dahmer. I have all of our pictures up. Another one. I have the Lonely Rabbit. I have all new stuff. It's all good stuff. Get a sticker, get a mug,
Mhm.
yeah, a bunch of good shit. Get a shitty hat. Who cares? Um, So that's all I got, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. If you know somebody that hates getting a plastic bag put over their head with a t-shirt and another plastic bag, share this to them. You know, they can know who to look out for. If you look at that picture and you're like, damn, this kid looks evil as hell, like just like and subscribe. That's it, guys. And remember to really quick before we end it, you know, th- right now I was looking at some I was like, all right, true crime, like for further future shows, and that damn like Pete Diddy case keeps coming up. Like it's like big talk right now, and it's so dumb because now they have like Cuba Gooding Jr. and he's standing there in court, and it looks like people are like, what?
Is he wearing the
Like
is he wearing the outfit from the movie?
well, that's what I'm gonna say is that he looks confused. He's holding a football. He came in pushing a shopping cart. He didn't even have a lawyer. Ed Harris came in to defend him. Your Honor, this boy, he's got a good heart and he motivates. He's over there trying to plead his innocence by giving like a shitty speech like he did in that movie. You know, so
Hmm.
hey, that's it. So remember, guys, to always remember, guys, to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Radio Road.
God, Jesus.